Welcome to Sweethearts or Rivals. I'm Charla.
I'm Justin.
What's on our table today?
Suburbia.
It's a game you can play solo or up to 4 players. It can take you up to an hour and a half, and they recommend that you can play it with ages 8 and up.
There you go.
And we're also playing with the expansion Suburbia Inc., which
There you go.
doesn't come with a box, but I'll put the cover right there.
There you go. Nice.
Awesome.
So, let's start with the components. What do you think?
Well, the components are good quality components. The cardboard itself is nice and thick. So is the money, and it really shows up because when you pass it or drop it or get mad because he has more money than you and fling it, it rolls forever.
Yeah.
And all the wooden components, there's not a lot of them, but it's good quality wood.
Yeah.
As far as the art goes, it's very minimalistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very icon
Heavy,
yeah.
based. But I mean, it probably has to be for the type of game it is because you have so many pieces that interact with each other.
Yeah.
So you probably couldn't have like a real cutesy or artistic style.
Yeah, it because there's so much going on that you're checking the text, the art itself needs to kind of just fade into
in the
background.
which is true.
Yeah. And let the color of the tile kind of come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's the color that really is the most important first when you're looking at it, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would you say about the strategery, which is the strategy, tactics, and luck?
So the first thing you're getting at the beginning of the game is you're getting a number of public goals, and then you're getting one personal goal that you get to choose from a pair. So that's gonna lead to some long-term strategy right there. And even though we didn't get to showcase a lot of the interactivity of the tiles in the playthrough, it does show how the goals are going to inform your game.
Can dictate the game.
Yeah, to a high degree because of our playthrough. So that's going to be a lot of strategy. The next part of it is a lot of tactical play because of the way the auction comes out. You know what's going to come down the line. You can jump ahead if you want, but it's going to cost you extra money. And so there's some kind of like mind games, like if I take that, it means you're going to take that, which means I can take this, that kind of stuff, which works really well.
Yeah. Even in a 2-player game, it works quite well.
Yeah. Especially when you add Suburbia Inc., which is going to add the border tiles.
These right here.
Yep. So, because you can, instead of, if she thinks I'm going to take this, which means I'm going to take that, what if I don't take any of those?
Right.
And I buy a border tile and nothing shuffles down the line.
It's true, because your only option with that before was these.
Yeah.
And then now it adds this. So you get a little bit more choice there to not have to advance the tiles.
Yep. Speaking of what Suburbia Inc. adds to the strategy and the tactics, it also adds some strategy because at the top of the B stack of tiles is a mid-game goal that either of you can get. And at the top of the C stack is a mid-game challenge, which is the same thing. So it still adds extra strategy long-term planning, which can sometimes mess you up.
It's true, it can. But in a game like this, sometimes you can really not have a clear direction of what to do.
Yep.
So these goals help do that, and then also the bonus and the challenge. They also help steer your game in a certain direction.
Yep.
If you just don't want to go off on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing with that is it also leads to more tactical play because instead of just worrying about if you take that, that means this is going to become, I'm going to be able to get that now. You can do things like, okay, so if I buy one of these tiles, that means the bonus is going to trigger now. What if I don't do that? Then it's not going to trigger. And again, look to our playthrough to see how some little mind games can really mess you up.
Yeah.
So there's some long-term strategy and a whole lot of tactical play. As for the randomness just comes in with the tiles as they come out. Even with the base game by itself, there's a lot of tiles for all 3 stacks. So you can never go into the game thinking, I just got to wait for that one tile to come out.
Right, I'm just going to wait for green.
Yeah.
Because maybe the tiles that got picked for that game,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many tiles in that bag left over that weren't even in
Yeah.
the A stack.
Yeah.
Or the B stack or the C stack.
Exactly. And then when you add Suburbia Inc., it adds even more.
Mm-hmm. So it becomes more of a tactical kind of a thing rather than a strategic long-term.
Right. Yeah. You got to kind of go with
The flow.
what's coming out and what can you make work.
Mm-hmm.
As for the randomness in playing the game, there's very little of it, except for the tiles coming out.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more of that tactical, player-based chaos mind games of you're not quite sure what your opponents are going to do, and it is going to affect your turn.
Mm-hmm.
But because of all the tiles that exist in the game, every single game you play...
It's going to be really different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really different, which is kind of cool. Nice. So, what about the complexity?
Well, this game has a lot of balancing to do.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to balance what's next to what, and then you never know what's going to come out here, so you have to balance tactically what's going to fit best in your city.
Mm-hmm.
The complexity comes into, I'm going to add this to my city, what does it affect? And then you have to go through your whole city
Yeah.
and readjust your income and your reputation
Yep.
for that tile. So I find maybe it's not so much complex, it's a little fiddly, that part of it.
I don't know if it's fiddly because there's not a ton of little rules you don't know.
No, but there's a lot of little tiles you have to consult
Yes.
and figure out what's going on with
Yeah.
your two tracks.
So you have to consult your entire board at the end of every single turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not so much
So-
fiddly, just a lot to do.
Yeah, and I find because you have to do that each round,
Mm-hmm.
each turn, it just seems like a lot of that. Like, I feel like I'm always doing record keeping.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense because you are managing,
I am managing a
suburb.
big suburb, yeah.
which would take a lot of record keeping.
You're right.
So it's thematic, but maybe not so fun.
It's very thematic in the,
Yeah.
statistical record analysis.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's a ton of constantly keeping your income and your reputation not just in balance, but in check.
Mm-hmm.
So that it doesn't go too low,
It's very tricky
but you
to.
can't go too high.
It's very tricky to keep that balance.
Yeah.
Especially with so many tiles and only so many of them are in the game. Like, you could have a ton of tiles that are just like, I'm going to raise your reputation, I'm going to raise your reputation, but no tiles coming out for your income. So then, like, it makes it really tricky because your reputation's so high, you keep going over these red lines all the time,
Yeah.
and everything keeps going back, and you never have a good way to put your income up.
Yeah. So there's...
Very tricky.
Yes. And that's why it's very interesting, that balance where you're going to have these goals you want to go after for some strategic planning, but a lot of the game is just heavy, heavy tactics.
Mm-hmm. As far as the setup goes, I think it's pretty straightforward. On this tile here, it's going to tell you how many players and how many tiles you get.
Yep.
So that's easy to set up. And
Yeah.
in the rules, it's going to tell you how many of each of these you get for player count.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to determine which goals you're going to get. 2-player, 2-player, 3-player, 4-player.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the setting up is fairly straightforward.
Yep.
The only thing is there's so many tiles to choose from. That's the only thing.
Yep. But it's
So
random each time,
it's
so that's
random
okay.
each time. Yeah.
It's cool.
But, I mean, there's not very much that you do on your turn besides the statistical analysis record keeping.
Mhm.
Because you're going to pick a tile that you can buy it, place it, do that record keeping, and then adjust this, do that, replace that, and it's your next turn.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's got a really nice flow. It
'Cause
just...
your turns are usually pretty quick.
Pretty fast,
Yeah.
yeah.
But because there is so much analysis, I could see issues with AP with this.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, if I do this, it means, what does it mean? And where do I put that? Because that's going to change this, and what do I do there? And
Yeah.
like, I could see that being a problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which
Yeah.
at least with this how they have the track here, it adds money. So I mean, if you know you only have $10, you're not going to be able to buy that one
Yep.
or that one.
Yeah.
So I mean, it makes that process a little easier
Yes, it
because
does.
you can't go into debt.
Yeah, exactly. Right on.
So what do you think about the playability?
The playability. Well, the fact that there are so many tiles for the A, B, and C stacks, and so many goals, and not a lot of goals are coming out each game, is going to make this very, very, very replayable if you enjoy it. But you're going to have to enjoy the game. It scales really well with the number of players. You're just going to have more tiles available, but again, other than that AP possibility, which the game does manage quite well, your turns are rather quick. So even if you're playing a full 4-player game, there's not a ton of downtime. And you know what? Having a little bit of downtime might actually be a good thing, so that you can take a look at what's going on and then maybe think...
Plan ahead a little bit.
Yeah. So it's actually not a bad thing at all. Doesn't get too long, but it gives you a little bit, which is actually helpful.
Right.
As for the mechanics versus the theme, they blend really, really well together. Like, every single tile has all these different kinds of effects, but they all make sense. In my playthrough, I got a radioactive waste site.
Right.
Which was going to reduce my population significantly every time it was close to my city. So I put it right on the edge, way away from everything. But it was next to my lake, which seemed really bad.
Yeah.
And one of the things that helped me get a lot of points later on in the game was I just happened to manage to get a water purification plant. And suddenly the reputation of my city right through the roof.
Yeah.
So a lot of little effects, but they all make like a ton of thematic sense, which is kind of neat.
Yes, there is a little teeny bit of storytelling when you're building your city, because, I mean, there's, say, the slaughterhouse, which gives you negative reputation. And I can't remember quite what it is. I'd have to look it up exactly.
Yep.
Like, but the things that it can be next to and, like, the bonus it gives you, it's, like, quite thematic, actually, and it's kind of funny, and then you're thinking in your head, like, not even game-wise, like, really, would I really, really want to put, like, a slaughterhouse in my suburbia? Like, really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It makes sense for the points, so I guess I'm going to. Yeah. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of neat. It's even though the tiles themselves artistically don't really jump out in the theme, looking at them and what they do makes a lot of sense, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I think that they kind of have to go with the scheme, even though it's not beautiful.
Yeah. Absolutely. Does it have the awesomeness or the cuteness?
Well, I would have to say it's got no cuteness.
No.
So it might have a little bit of awesomeness.
If you love building cities. There you go.
So the situation is you have a game group, and they say, hey, should we get Suburbia? What would you say?
Small group, 1 to 4. It doesn't expand beyond that. You have to enjoy thematic games that are very, very, very thinky and puzzly, but not necessarily thematic, jump at you, artwork awesome type stuff.
See, when I got really interested in Suburbia, like, I love tile laying games.
Yep.
And I love figuring out where to position my tiles to the optimum best. So I kind of do enjoy that part of it, but then it's the statistical bookkeeping part that I find bogs the game down.
Yes.
Like, I'm glad that you understand it so well, because I often miss stuff.
Okay.
Because there's a lot to keep track of.
Yeah.
So...
Like, to give you an example, Charla bought a mint really early in the game. And it doesn't give her $2 for every gray tile next to her mint. It gives her $2 for every gray tile she adds to her city for the rest of the game. So later on, when she added her power plant over here, I was like, don't forget your mint.
Right.
Yeah. Which I don't think I did that. I think you
I don't
remember.
know. I tried to keep really on top of what I had for the playthrough. But most of the time, I find it really difficult to do that.
Yeah. Because it's not just, I'm going to place this and what is it next to that affects it. I'm going to place this, how does it affect everything? Because there's a lot of tiles that will do that.
And I think maybe for the playthrough it's a little easier to keep track of, because we had these 2 goals here.
Yeah.
Most continuous lakes and fewest of these kind of tiles.
Yeah. That was a crazy combo.
It was a crazy combo.
So yeah, half of our city ended up being lakes.
Which usually it doesn't.
No. So... definitely, if you have a group that's into that kind of dry but super number crunchy type game, then this might be a game for you.
And it's highly replayable as well.
Yes.
So that's another good bonus for it.
Yeah. So if you enjoy a game of Suburbia, then you're going to be very happy that you're going to be able to play it. And it's going to be different every single time.
Right.
Yeah. Good enough?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are we going to trade it or are we going to keep it?
I think I have played Suburbia enough.
Yeah. Yeah. It is such a well-designed game, and it works so well. But, yeah, that incredible number crunching that you have to do, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do, just as a side note, we have the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. So if we want to play a game like this, we're probably going to play that one all the time over this.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it might be time to
trade it off.
Put it on a trade.
There we go. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Do we finish Suburbia as sweethearts or rivals? We finished it as rivals.
I don't
Silence.
know. Not sweethearts.
No.
I find that I get so bogged down with the game. I don't feel a rivalry with you.
No.
I don't think so much.
That's why
maybe
you tried to beat me on lakes the entire time.
Yeah, well, that's so I could maybe get some points to finish in the end.
Yep.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't know if it's not sweethearts.
But you can't.
It's a low rival.
Yeah.
Yeah, a low rivalry for me.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Oh, that was Suburbia.
And Suburbia Inc.
Right on.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks a lot.
And we'll see you in the next video.
Laters. Thank you.